Peg, come here, quick.
What's the matter, Riley?
Look at this letter.
Why, it's in print.
Yeah, I found it here on the desk. It's for Beth. Someone's writing to her in French.
Oh, Riley, you have no right opening Babs's mail.
I didn't open it. It was right here on the table, already open.
Well, I don't care. You have no right reading other people's personal mail.
Well, everybody's always reading my personal mail. You all know exactly how much I owe the gas company.
Put that letter away.
Peg, this is no time for etiquette. Just listen to what it says in this letter. Ma chère Madame Oiselle Relay. What do you think of that? Merci pour vos jollies fleurs. Did you hear that? C'était très aimable à vous. Sincèrement votre André Lafayette. What nerve? I'll punch him in the nose. I'll tear him apart.
Sono lieto di poter rievocare in poche parole le esperienze delle prime trasmissioni radiotelegrafiche a grandi distanze da me felicemente eseguite attraverso l'Oceano Atlantico il 12 dicembre 1901.
Holy snapping bra straps. It's a podcast.
Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours, Avalon Standard Time.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
The best radio in the whole wide world.
You're with the roar.
Republic of Avalon Radio. You are with the roar. I am Jim Fiddler, and welcome to episode 113. It's not unlucky. I think if you were to have 113 eggs, you would never confuse that with 13 eggs, or the infamous baker's dozen. So let's not be confused. There's nothing unlucky about this episode whatsoever. Episode 113 of The Roar. We are roaring on. A big hello to all the y'all out there. If you're brand new, if you're just fresh and new with us, a great big welcome aboard. Really, really glad to have you here. And of course to all our old stalwart listeners who've been around for God knows how long. Thanks for sticking with us and being patient with us, and of course thanks to everybody for all the feedback that we get from time to time, you know, through email and over on the website at republicofavalonradio.com and all that sort of lovely stuff. And we have recently been kind of heating up. The weather's not exactly heating up, but things have been heating up here on our end at Republic of Avalon Radio. In the meantime, let's just let you know that the Republic of Avalon Radio app for the iPhone and the Ipod Touch and the iPad and all that stuff is available, in case you didn't know that. And we haven't really mentioned this before, I don't think, but the Roar app is now available for the Android system as well. So the Roar app is roaring into Android land, so you can all feel free to check that out. It's pretty mind-free activity, really. So there you have it. And speaking of mind-free activity, I've been in the studio working away on the new album and really turning the corner, coming down the home stretch, and it's a very good feeling. I think the fact that we're not getting any kind of a great summer this year has meant that I'm quite happily and comfortably working away in the studio, and I'll tell you folks, things are starting to sound pretty good. There's some of these tracks that are really, really taking shape. For anybody who knows my music already, there's some exciting stuff going on with this record. And for anybody who maybe doesn't know anything about my music, you know, it's a great big world all around us, full of all kinds of music, good and bad and in between. And to have some music come along that's actually not just, you know, canned music. It's not just generic, the same as everything else you're hearing. But the old idea of an album, just a good album that you put on, and there's songs on there with meaning and some good grooves and good music and good melody lines and hooks and catches and just a pleasant mix that makes your stereo sound good, that sounds good on headphones. Just the old idea of an album. That's what's shaping up here, and there's some pretty darn catchy songs on this record. I must say myself, I wasn't setting out to, you know, make some kind of a pop record or anything like that, and that's certainly not what it is. But pop meaning popular, I don't know. That's where pop comes from, which means, I guess, broad appeal. I think this record is definitely shaping up to be quite broad appeal. So there you go. And there is more to come on all of that too, and very, very soon, because we want you all to be involved. We've talked before about a few things that we're doing. We want to get you guys in and on board. We want to get you guys involved in the process. You know, I've made records in the past and felt rather lonely in the process. But we have a chance here now to do something a little different, other than the old model of the major record label that has millions of dollars to promote artists and so on. We're hoping to be able to do something a little bit different that actually involves the not just the artists, but the listeners or the fans or whatever you want to call them, and connect them with the artist. In this case, I'm the artist, and this is a little bit of a trial balloon, you know. We'll see how this goes and how this works out, and if it works reasonably well, and we learn some things in the process, hopefully we can share this and do this for some other people, and maybe connect you guys up with other music other than just my own, and so on and so forth. So we'll see how it all goes. In the meantime, it's looking very encouraging. We want some kind of, like, how would you put it? No-brainer, easy, common sense, simple, clear interaction between artists and fans, and not this kind of ivory tower stuff. The old model of the record label and all that is gone, but there's still a star system in place, and the major labels aren't gone away. There's just much fewer of them. That's the whole thing. Instead of 50 kind of moderate to large sized labels, now we're down to just a palmful. And so the big thing hasn't gone away. The old school thing has still not quite died, and what it's being replaced with is up to you. That's the whole point. It can become a free-for-all of downloading free music, and the artists don't end up being able to make a living anymore, and then the quality of the music that's available to you is just going to go down. I mean, recording-wise and talent-wise and everything. It's just going to be, you know, serious people aren't going to be able to do it anymore. Or it can be some sort of thing where we can work out something between artists and fans, where there's a closer relationship. Like at a live show, you can go up and you can shake hands with somebody and actually get a chance to talk to them and have a human exchange. And in some cases, this turns into not just a handshake and an autograph. In some cases, this turns into a cup of coffee or a glass of beer. And in some cases, it turns into lifelong friendships. I think that's the direction we should be headed. I've never been that interested myself in this whole big star business. ever since I can remember, music is what I wanted to do. And whatever my message is, whatever the message is in the music, the way it works for me, where I'm most comfortable, is if I feel like I have supporters, and I'm delivering something to them and on their behalf to other people that's of some sort of worth to them, whether it's musically or morally or whatever the case may be, that there's something there that means something to them, and it's something that they want to see existing in this world and something that they would encourage and pass on to other people, then that way it feels, to me, it feels clean, it feels honest, it feels like it has dignity, and there's respect for myself, having respect for the music and respect for the listener, and the listener having respect for me and not just thinking of me as some kind of star or some kind of commodity or something like that. I could pontificate on that till the end of time, pretty much. But the simple, tidy way to say it is, come on, kids, we can do better than what has come before, and let's beware of what may be coming next, because it may not be very nice. It may turn out to be nastier than the whole big record thing. Because when you get a whole bunch of people all running and trampling all over each other and competing and all this endless stuff going on, internet-wise and so on, it can be this way, it can be that way, but perhaps we can actually do something here and all benefit in the process. So there you have it. Speaking of these types of things, very soon we have a good friend of ours who's a Roar listener. He's a platinum Roar member, I guess you'd say. We don't really have a scale for these things. You're all platinum as far as we're concerned, but he's definitely been listening to the Roar for a while, and he's come to the Republic of Avalon, and we've met him, and he's coming back again. So just in a couple of days' time, Michael Meekins will be stepping his foot onto the soil of the Republic of Avalon yet again, and we look forward to getting together with him and seeing him, spending some time and listening to some music and catching up on things. So Michael is on the move, and he's going to be here very soon. So there you have it. The forum, I've been sort of alluding to that. The forum, we have this thing that we're getting going over at jimfiddler.com. It's well, how can I put this in a nutshell? How can I simplify this? The new album's coming along great, as I mentioned, and that will be coming out when it comes out. But between now and then, we're looking at releasing bits and pieces of the music from the record and maybe some other stuff and demo versions and things like that. Only to people, not to the public in general, but to people that are members at the website at jimfiddler.com. People who go over there and sign up and become part of the community over there, part of the forum. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. You don't have to be, all wrapped up in it or anything like that. It has nothing to do with Facebook. It has nothing to do with Google+. It has nothing to do with anything like that. In fact, it's just a more straightforward kind of, just like a little club membership kind of thing. And it's a free membership. You don't have to pay to be a member or anything like that. And we're not going to take any information about you. It's all secure, so nothing's going to end up happening to your identity or anything like that. It's all fine. It's just a good old straightforward, simple thing. But what we're looking at doing is making some things available to people over there. And yeah, I could just release these to the general public and make a lot more money, perhaps, whatever, throw them up on iTunes and all that kind of stuff. But I think for the long term, it could be a heck of a lot more beneficial all the way around for everybody to do it this way and build up a kind of a community, a relationship where I can be getting some feedback from you guys and gals, and the kind of interactivity. It's not the same on iTunes. A review on iTunes, that's whatever. That's useful. That's great, but at the same time, just the ability for us to be in more direct contact with you guys, to have a kind of a rapport, a dialogue, and get little bits and pieces. So, for example, what we're talking about doing is releasing 3 EPs before the album. These would be available only to people who are members, and the membership is free, and I think the EPs would probably be, I don't know, $2.99 each or something like that. And each EP will have at least 3 songs on it, 3 songs from the upcoming album, and they will be, in some cases it'll be exactly what's going to be on the album, the song. In other cases it'll be an alternative mix, a demo version, an acoustic version, whatever. I don't know. I got all kinds of things floating around here in my head. So each EP will have at least 3 tracks on it, and perhaps more. Perhaps it'll have like the 3 tracks that are going to be on the album, and then the instrumental versions of those 3, or a remix, a dub remix, or a studio version, and just the day I wrote the song, with the acoustic guitar, and just strum through it and whatever. So it'll be content that will be on the album itself, and some content that won't be on the album, and the order of the songs as well. Let's say, for example, we have, generally speaking, let's say there's 10 tracks on the album, and you can divide the songs on the album up into sort of 3 comfortable groups, 3, 3, and 4 or something, or actually 3, 3, and 3, because the 10th song would be available only on the album itself. So you have 3 groups of 3. It's kind of funky to think about taking the 3 that work together, finding these 3, those 3, and the other 3 that work together, and I'm gonna mix those songs and master them to work together and crossfade them together, so the 3 songs from beginning to end will play really well. And on the album they won't be in that order, and so those crossfades and that whole thing, you won't be able to hear that on the CD if you only have the CD. So there is a point to actually just, not just waiting for the CD and buying that. There is an actual point to this. You're actually getting something different. And we're also looking at doing some other things in terms of making the studio quality available, the studio quality tracks available to people too, somehow, somewhere down the road. That could be this Kickstarter thing we're doing. That might be part of that, but after that, we'll tell you more about that as it's coming, and that's coming very soon. But in the meantime, the main thing is the whole idea of this community and you guys getting music that's not available yet before the general public, and then a forum. As a member, there's a place you can go, and you can just go right in there and say, this is garbage, or wow, this is amazing, or hey Jim, did you think about, I think the demo version you have on here should go on the album, for whatever reason. Maybe I hadn't planned to do that, and maybe I'm thinking against that, and you and enough other people might go into the forum and insist that I throw the acoustic demo version at the end of the record or something, and even though it's not my intention or whatever, you guys just might twist my arm, and so it gives you guys a way of really kind of taking part in the whole process, and having a CD come out and knowing that you had a hand in it somehow. Again, maybe not the you may not be the father or the mother, but you might somehow help out in the birth process, even just by being there, holding a hand or whatever the case may be. So there you go. And that should be up pretty soon. Lillian's talking about getting that up by the weekend. So when you guys are hearing this, it's probably already after the weekend. So chances are, if you go to jimfiddler.com, you will find the community there. I'm not sure what it's going to be called. Probably the community, the forum, something like that. More to come in the future. I will give you more details on that. So anyway, we're quite excited about that, and we hope that you guys will find that interesting and exciting. I mean, we all go to work, we come home, we do what we do. We go out to stores and we buy CDs and bring them home and read the liner notes and all that stuff. But the idea, I think, to me, of being able to take part and be part of the process in an artist's album making. I don't know about you, but I find it interesting. So we hope that you all find it interesting too. So yeah. So the album is going extremely well. And as it turned out, it's more than one album. I thought I was making one album, but as it looks here now, I'm actually making two. So I'm going to get the first one out here by the fall with the 3 EPs beforehand, and then we'll be getting things together with the other material and putting out the other album in the spring. And we'll probably do the EP thing with that as well, depending on how well this works on the first album. So we got a whole family of songs just kind of sitting there, and we just got to, you know, when you make a family photo, you kind of line up the taller kids in the back and the shorter ones in the front and the ones with the nicest smiles and all these kinds of things. So we're just kind of taking that approach and wanting the 2 best albums that we can possibly have. So obviously anything that I'm kind of a little bit kind of iffy about, I'll hold off for the second record, because that'll give me all the winter to work on it and get the kinks out of it. And the stuff that I'm more sure of, and the stuff that's already finished now. And the tracks are falling day by day. Day by day. Boom, boom. There's another one. That's done. I don't need to do anything more with that. Pretty much now, all really needs to be done on most of these tracks is some finishing tracks, you know, like getting somebody to put a sax solo on a track, getting the girls in to sing a couple of harmonies on a track, and that kind of thing. Pretty much my work, aside from mixing and mastering and all that, is done. So exciting times, folks. Yes, I was going to mention Paul in the UK. We mentioned Paul's been getting in touch with us, sending me chats, and I'm just totally inept when it comes to chat stuff. So sorry about that, Paul. But he was asking me about the H1 or the H2. We have the H1 and we find it good. We use the R9 HR. I mean, I would recommend that beast number 1, really, just from my own experience, from its usability and how solid it is and how reliable it is and so on. But between the Zoom H1 and H2, I really don't know the difference, so I couldn't really give you a recommendation. I'd say either which way. If the H2 is pretty much the same thing and a bit more solid and so on, I wouldn't be able to comment on accessibility and ease of use and all that kind of stuff. The H1 is usable, and the H2 should be as well, so I don't really know about that one, Paul. You're going to have to carry on your research beyond me, because I've never touched an H2 and don't really know anything about it. So sounds like another virus, doesn't it? The H1 and the H2. Maybe last year the big scare, so this year it's going to be the H2. I don't know, maybe there's something between Zoom and the World Health Organization going on that I don't know about. But in any case, I'm doing a little something here. You might notice a slight difference here. This little episode, this monologue at the beginning here. I've actually got a couple of little notes in front of me, some things I didn't want to forget. And I'm doing it in the most clumsy fashion, so there's a brilliant thing called a braille display. If you're listening to me now and you want to help the Roar, and you want to show a little bit of support, you've got a braille display kicking around, you got 2 or 3 or 4 of these things, you got some old sucker, you don't need it anymore, and you want to send it to us, that would be great. Send us your old braille display and we will love you forever, and put a big banner on the website with your picture on it, and a big crown on your head and a halo around your head and stars teeming down from the sky all over you and all that kind of stuff. A braille display. Anybody with a braille display that's just sitting around collecting dust, please. It could go into good use in the studio here for Republic of Avalon Radio and so on and so forth. So there you have it. And the last little thing I have for you here is I have taken a project upon myself. I mentioned it before, and it's still ongoing. We're up into the 20s now. I think episode 23 or 24 was the most recent one to go up. And I am talking about the Snowman Radio Podcast. Some of you may remember the Snowman radio show that was on in the late 90s, 2000-ish. Those episodes were completed and done, and the series stopped. And nobody's really been able to get availability to those episodes, certainly not in any kind of quality. You had to look pretty hard and so on to find them. We started making them available as a podcast, little idea last fall. Late fall came into my head. They're great shows. Jim Snowbarger, the Snowman. I was just listening away here, and I was thinking to myself, too bad the quality on these is so bad, and too bad it's so hard for people to get them. I think people should hear them. So I got in touch with the Snowman himself, and Christmas Day, the first one went up, and now we're up to 24. We're doing them once a week. So that is an interesting little thing for you to pass your time when you're waiting for episodes of The Roar that have not come out. When we go a couple of weeks between episodes, which happens quite often, I'm still getting the Snowman episodes up in the process, or in the interim. So you can go to www. Yes, folks, I did just say that. There's a reason for that, because the actual URL is www.snow.com. So I threw in the 3 W's first, because then I get to say www.www.snow.com. Usually I don't like all saying W's, but he threw all them W's in there, maybe because he was pretty sick of the www business back then and wanted to create a URL that had so many W's in it that it pointed out the absolute ridiculousness of all these superfluous W's floating around. So there you have it, folks. Episode 113 of Republic of Avalon Radio. We're going to take you out on walkabout, myself and Lillian and a good friend of ours, Jacinthe, and we're going to be talking with her and walking down the street and running into other people and all kinds of wonderful things. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and your feedback is always welcome at republicofavalonradio.com, and we always love to hear from you and your shout outs and so on. So there you have it. I am Jim Fiddler, and you are listening to Republic of Avalon Radio. Go!
Hi, good morning, listeners. My name is Junior Paris. I'm an artist from Barbados. You are listening to the Republic of Avalon Radio, Madam Sir.
Hello there, here is MC from the Vue d'ici Sing From Here podcast, podcasting from Montreal. You are right now listening to the Republic of Avalon Radio podcast.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
The best radio in the whole wide world.
You're with the roar!
OK, Radio République d'Avalon. Ici Jim Fiddler.
Nous marchons vers la rue de l'eau.
Exact. Et Lillian n'est pas ici. J'ai une femme nouvelle. The Roar a changé. So, yes, folks, we are walking down the road. This is Jim Fiddler, and you're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio as usual. And Lillian is here.
Hello, everybody.
As usual. I lied in French. I'm better at lying in French than I am in English. It's strange, you know? Isn't it funny? Yeah, French is an easier language to lie in, I think. Because actually the word parliment comes from two French words, the words parler and mentir, which mean to speak and to lie. So.
Et les parlementaires, c'est des gens qui parlent, qui mentent et qui se taisent.
That's just my little funny thing, and yes. So we're speaking English here, and but hello to all our francophone listeners. Any of you folks out there that are French-speaking people, even though we're speaking in English all the time here, we very much think about you because, as a lot of you may know, there's a place off the coast here, off the coast of Newfoundland, called Saint-Pierre-et-Miquelon, which are islands just off the coast of Newfoundland, and they speak French, and they're actually part of France, technically, much like Newfoundland is part of Canada. You know, it's all done on paper and all that stuff, but the heart of any true Newfoundlander, for example, July 1st is a day that we think about Beaumont Hamel and the Newfoundland Regiment more so than, you know, drinking beer on George Street and waving the Canadian flag or whatever. You know, nothing against Canada, just it's part of our history and our culture. And in St. Pierre too, the people in St. Pierre are very, very much different than, in fact, they say in St. Pierre, they say les Français. You know, the French people that come over from France, usually, you know, military police and people like that, are very much kind of like, les Français, you know. It's those French guys there. They call those people French, just the same way as, you know, even though in Canada or America people speak English, but if they saw somebody there from England, they would say, there's an Englishman, even though they speak the English language. So people in St. Pierre speak French, but they're not Frenchmen. Don't call people in St. Pierre Frenchmen. How's it going?
Hey guys.
What's going on?
Leaving a friend's house, going to my place, get a change. I'm wearing shorts and t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, I went out early in the day. Wedding ceremony, wedding reception. Now it's cooled down. The night goes on and I need pants.
Might we see you at the pub with your pants?
It's a fairly good chance.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're on Republic of Avalon Radio right now, by the way.
What? Broadcast?
Yes. You're
Wow.
podcast, so you're almost live.
Right, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe we'll get a shout out from you down at the pub later.
Indeed.
Cool.
Shall happen?
All right. Get on your long pants, boy. Yeah. So as I was saying, I'm not an Englishman just because I speak English. To be an Englishman, I'd have to be from England, which I'm not. And people from St. Pierre speak French. People in Quebec speak French, but they're not Frenchmen. Some people make that mistake and call, you know, somebody might say they were downtown in St. John's, you know, and they met some guy from, you know, Chicoutimi or something. They said, yeah, I met this Frenchman downtown last night. But he's not a Frenchman because he's not from France. So there you have it. And yes, so we have our friend with us here, Jacinthe, who's here from Montreal. Do you want to sort of tell folks a little bit about what you're doing here, why you're here, or is it top secret?
Non. Je suis pour quelques mois coordonnatrice du réseau culturel francophone de Terre-Neuve et Labrador.
Parfait. Pouvez-vous dire ça en anglais pour les écouteurs?
Yes, I work. I take care, I think, for some few months of the French Cultural Network of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Aha, cool.
And you are a member, by the way.
I am a member, and I've told that to our listeners before, and we've had a couple of times that we've taken our listeners to St. Pierre, and we've also had our listeners made them aware, in case they didn't know, of Le 14 Juillet and things like that, and we've been doing our little best, you know, with with what we can do. And yeah, it's interesting because Newfoundland, part of Newfoundland history. In fact, you know, these things could have gone either which way. It was kind of going back and forth. Newfoundland was between French and English and French and English. Newfoundland was not always an English place. For a while it was French, and then they'd fight some more, and then it would be English, and then they'd fight some more and it would be French. And so right now when the fighting stopped, it was English, and unless the people in St. Pierre are going to start an uprising, you know, with the people from, you know, the Port-au-Port Peninsula, and all rush into St. John's and take over the Confederation building, it's probably going to stay English. But Newfoundland does have a long history that's not much told, because, as they say, the people who win the war write the history books.
That's right.
So What have you, in terms of Newfoundland, French history or culture in Newfoundland? What, being from, you're from Quebec yourself, from Montreal. What have you learned about the French history and culture in Newfoundland? Maybe that surprised you the most.
Oh, the most that surprised me is in Quebec we talk a lot about the great battle of Plaine d'Abraham, which decide the fact that
Plains of Abraham, yeah.
French lost that battle,
yeah,
and England became owner of the Canada, the French du Bas Canada at the time.
Yeah,
and that was in 1760.
Yeah,
but during that time, Newfoundland was French until 3 years later.
Okay.
So the last French place in Canada was Newfoundland.
Wow,
I didn't know that.
And what I learned too is that the French in Newfoundland, French didn't lost a battle, but France lost the war. And it's the big war who decided.
Oh, so it was done on paper.
That Newfoundland would become
English.
Oh.
That was not done by last battle here. That was done by politicians in London and Paris.
Yeah.
Really much like our current confederation with Canada, truth be known, is very similar. It was, there's a lot of, people say rumors or conspiracy theories or whatever, but London and Ottawa had a lot of sort of discussions and plans and things.
Another amazing thing is that when I came first, I believe that the French community in Newfoundland was on the French shore, but they are not.
No.
They are on the west coast, on the peninsula de Port-au-Port.
Yep.
So.
Where Emile Benoit comes from. We've mentioned Emile on the show here. We've played his music on the show before.
And my understanding too is that there is it's not my understanding, it's the fact that actually people who speak French in Newfoundland come from very different origin according to where they live on the island and Labrador.
Right.
Because on the west coast most of the people are descendants of Acadian or France.
Yeah.
Frenchman. Read Frenchman.
Yeah.
In that case. And it's an old community.
I think it was always more of a stronger relationship, I think, between, say, the Port-au-Port Peninsula and Miquelon than there was between with St. Pierre.
I don't know. Yeah, because in Miquelon they are Acadian.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, in St. Pierre, people say Miquelon.
And
as a joke.
But it's a long history on the west coast. Yeah. But the French people in Saint John arrived about 50 years ago. From Montreal, from France, from Saint Pierre.
Yeah.
After Confederation.
Yeah.
And in Labrador, most of them are there for after the opening of mines.
Because it's so close.
Yeah. And many come from Quebec, Gaspé Peninsula or Quebec North Shore. So it's a mix.
Yeah. I understand that on the West Coast, a lot of the people came from jumping ship in the, I don't know exactly what years it would have been, but they had really bad treatment on some of the ships that were over here, like fishing or fighting, and a lot of them jumped ship and just thought it was better to just stay, you know, jump wherever you are and stay there.
Also, they had after the decision to let go Newfoundland and keep Saint-Pierre. France had the right to fish around the island, but not to stay. But some of them quit the boat, fall in love with with women there, and some of them changed their name because they had no right to stay there.
Like Aucoin.
Right. So
Aucoin instead of Aucoin.
And the other thing is very interesting on the Port-au-Port Peninsula is how the French. There was a very prominent French community there, and then when the English, I guess, took over the schools and the language and all the system, they were not allowed to speak their own language.
No, they get punitive treatment. They get punished if they were caught, speaking during recess or whatever. If they were speaking French to their brother or sister or something, they'd get punished.
They would get knocked on the
strapped
hand. Strapped. Hi.
We are. Oh no, that's okay. Yeah,
thanks anyway.
Yeah, thanks anyway.
All right.
God love you. That was nice.
Yeah, really.
He's a good guy.
Oh yeah. That's our getaway car.
That's our getaway car. Yeah. Yeah.
The one that's like the 1940s sort of.
Oh yeah.
Car, the
Cadillac. The gangster car. Yeah. I don't know, Jacinthe, if you knew this about me or not. I'm not just some kind of, what is it they call people, Francophiles? Anglos that are really fascinated with France and French cuisine and French language. And I'm not just a Francophile. I'm actually, my name, Fiedler, or whatever, however you pronounce it, Fiedler or Fiedler, or in Saint-Pierre everyone calls me Fiedler. But that's actually from Alsace, which is kind of, I think right now is technically, I noticed like with RFI, they have Alsace there. They have Brest and they have, various stations, in the south of France and Paris and in Normandy and Brittany, and they also have stations in Alsace. So it's kind of like my heritage, part of my heritage comes from that place, which is right between France and Germany. So
actually I just realized too that part of my family roots, I guess, come from Normandy.
Yeah, that's going back a long ways though, but that's true.
Like that.
Yeah, Lillian's people came from Normandy at shortly, around the time and shortly after the William the Conqueror from Normandy in 1066. So, but those weren't really proper French fellers, your crowd. No. They were Norse. They were Scandinavian, like Viking types. You see, they weren't proper Frenchmen. So.
What language did they speak, I wonder?
Well, in France
Norse?
they spoke French, but they would have come speaking a language very similar to the English that was spoken 1,000 years ago. It was very much the same language at that time, what we call Old English. It's a Germanic language, and a couple episodes ago I played a little piece of Old English, the Lord's Prayer in Old English, so people could hear what English 1,000 years ago might have sounded like. And I actually we heard from some of you guys that you guys found that interesting. I just find it really fascinating myself. The idea of, for example, I don't know if you knew this, Jacinthe, but if we were to go in a time machine and appear in London 1,000 years ago, they were speaking English in London 1,000 years ago. It was English, but they would not be able to. We wouldn't be able to understand each other. The language was so different. We actually would not be able to understand each other. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, that's true. Now, French, I don't think is the same.
No.
I think French 1,000 years ago and French now, you can pretty much understand it. You can read it, and it's
a lot of difference too.
Yeah, a lot of changes, but I think it's more comprehensible than the English, because you see, in 1066, the Normans, from Normandy came and conquered England, and they made French the official language of England for everything, for court and church and king and medicine and education and everything. Only the peasants spoke English. Everybody who did anything was writing in Latin and speaking in French. But France never suffered that same in that time. They were never taken over and had their language replaced.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how there's in the English language, there are so many French words that we
English,
just take for granted.
There's a huge chunk of English that is French.
Yeah.
And then another whole huge chunk of English that is Latin. Yeah. But of course, the foundation of English is German. And
so what is English really then?
English is really kind of like an Esperanto. Like the first Esperanto. It was the modern English we speak now was consciously created around the time of Elizabeth I by people like Sir Francis Bacon and all of his cronies. They had this idea of the British Empire, or the British Empire, I think they called it. And they had the idea of creating a language based on the English language that would serve as a universal language for global empire. So it would be a language that would be constructed in such a way that it would allow people to work, but it would limit their ability to really express a lot of certain types of ideas and make the people more easy to control. So they could take this language and they could spread it to Asia, to Africa, to places like India, and eventually North America, Canada and the United States and Australia and New Zealand, and it would really be kind of a language for the workers. So it's a kind of a business language that we speak now. And unless you really get into studying the language really closely and start looking at some Middle English and some Old English, you won't really have any way to know that. But if you do, it's absolutely fascinating, and it's heartbreaking as well, because if you speak any other languages other than English, like myself, doing functioning in French, and my German is getting very weak these days compared to what it was in the past. But when you know other languages and you realize that there are words in another language that describe a sentiment or a feeling or whatever, and you can't find the same thing in your own language. Yeah. Well, the example I always bring up is a language a word that exists in French and Portuguese and Spanish and whatever, but there's no real equivalent for it in English. And if there's anyone out there who does know one, let us know. I've been asking people, and up until now, everyone seems to agree that there is no real equivalent. It's the word simpatico or sympathique, or we just say sympa to shorten it. But to say in French, you would say, oh Jacques, il est très sympa. There's no, in English, you just have to say, il est sympa. In English, you'd say maybe he's nice, but nice is not the same thing as sympa. Sympathique, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Nice is a very weak word.
Yeah. Frivolous.
It's kind of frivolous, yeah. Because nice is kind of like, sometimes you could say, when something isn't nice, you say sarcastically, oh, that's nice. But you can't say, oh, c'est sympa. It doesn't work the same way, so. Do you know of any English word that's the same as sympathique?
No.
No. And it's a great word. I mean, to be able to describe somebody that way, and in English, you can't do it. You'd have to, you'd need a paragraph. You'd have to describe the person. And
you'd have to use more than one word, I would say.
You would. And then the more words you use, the more open to interpretation and misinterpretation you are.
But I heard some words in English that are great too. And like togetherness.
Togetherness?
Yeah, there's nothing like that in French.
Togetherness, yeah. Yeah. Togetherness. In French. Just être ensemble, or I don't know. No, I guess there's not that I can think of either. But there may be one. Just like I say with sympathique, maybe there is one that I can't think of. But like togetherness. Can you think of another one?
But you can explain togetherness in French, but there is no one word.
Yeah.
With the same spirit?
Wait now. What about there's words that are in there, like how do you say communité? I don't know.
I was thinking of that one.
Communion. You know, that kind of word.
Yeah.
It's harmonie.
No, not really. It's in the same family.
Yeah.
Than that community, but
cousins.
It's not the same thing.
Not a sister word or a brother word. We can find cousin words.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think though that it's more, I think, the other way, because I don't think now that would be a whole topic of discussion for a whole other day, wouldn't it? Because the French language has been very tightly controlled. What's that organization called? That the police, like the French language police?
L'Académie Française.
Exact. Oh yeah. There's the French language police, and somehow they let le weekend, they let that happen, and faire le shopping, and le business and things like that.
But you know, there is more and more English words used in France.
Yeah.
And more used in France than in Quebec, for example.
That's right. Isn't that interesting? Maybe a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, that is the case. And I was talking to Jacinthe earlier, and I was telling her about the Irish community here, and the fact that not far from St. John's here, there are people who have the dialect of the places in Ireland that their grandparents and great-grandparents and so on came from. And the dialect is better preserved here than it actually is back in Ireland. So isn't that interesting? Back in Ireland, nobody cares about being Irish because they just are. And any old words that slip in, they don't feel like they have to protect themselves because, you know, like you would never say, for example, in Paris, and you're walking down the street, you would never look across and see your friend across the street and say, "Salut le français!" You know? But if you saw your friend, if you were in New York and you saw your friend across the street, you may say that. Mm-hmm. You would never think of your friend as being un français in France. Just like here in Newfoundland, Newfoundlanders go to Toronto and they suddenly become Newfies. And Irish people go to New York and they suddenly become Paddies. But back in Ireland, they're just people, and back in Newfoundland, we're just people. So maybe that's part of it, because when you know what I'm saying, when people leave their home in Ireland or in France or whatever, and they go somewhere else, maybe they feel a stronger sense of wanting to protect the language and the culture, you know, because they're surrounded by other cultures, but back home there's no perceived threat, I guess, you know. It's all very fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. So we talk about all kinds of things here on this show. CHAUD. All right, you're done already?
I'm done.
Well, let's rock and roll.
Okay.
All right, let's resume our previous position here for ease of engineering on my part, which means Jacinthe on my right and Lillian on my left. Yeah, I can't go like that, you know.
I heard you can cut that, but it's very funny.
Okay.
My book is a collection of interview with a man. His name is Henry Mintzberg, and he's one of the greatest management thinker of our planet. He's famous, but he's a simple. You know, he's famous, but he's
down to earth.
He's sympa.
Yes, yes.
He's nice.
Yeah.
And he laughed at me when, for him, I'm a journalist. So when he learned that I came in Newfoundland, I said I'm going to be a manager. And he laughed at me. And he said, "You know nothing about that." And I sent to him an email yesterday making a report of manager. And in that report, I said that I have the feeling to be a housekeeper, which is in French, in femme de ménage.
Yes.
And he answered to me that managing, the word managing, the origin of that word is French.
Yeah, ménage.
And that comes from the men who take the horse with their hand.
Yeah.
Hand is main.
The bridle. Yeah.
The main.
Yeah.
With their main.
Yeah.
So, and also faire le ménage. That come from faire le ménage, keep housekeeping.
By hand, working
with
your hands
with
to
your hands,
maintain the house.
Yeah, and I answered to him, "You're kidding. It's not true." And he answered to me, "It's true." And I believe him, and that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
That the hand be involved in.
Yes.
And you know, cleaning the dirt things can be the idea of managing in his way to think. He's not a business thinker; he's a managing thinker.
So, could you call like the guys who go around cleaning the sidewalks? Could you say that's ménage à trottoir? That's terrible. Sorry. One word though that I've noticed, and this is kind of, to me, I don't know. Well, there has to be a connection as far as I'm concerned, but it's not one that I ever heard anyone else talk about, or I never learned it in school. You know, in English, you've heard the word maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay. What does it mean? Maintenance.
Keep things in good order.
To keep things in good repair.
Yeah.
In other words, to not let anything get old and worn out. To keep everything in a state of in the present today.
Right.
Working today like it did yesterday. So you're keeping it in the now, right? Maintenant.
And that comes right
Maintenance.
from French, doesn't it? Yeah.
You're nowing things.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
It is really.
So maintenant means now in French, and maintenance in English means to keep things in the now.
Right.
It's literally maintenance is maintenance. You could say maybe if you wanted to take that word from English and put it into French.
Do they say that in French though?
Maintenance?
For maintenance? Do you say that? Is that a word like a?
Yeah.
Is that the word for?
Faire la maintenance.
But it's used mostly for blue collar.
Yes.
Or technician.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the same as ménage.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same. It has the root with main, with the hand, I think. Maintenant. I don't know. Now. As we say in Newfoundland, now. We say that. Someone tells you something extraordinary, you go, now. You know? Yeah. Oh, we got some kind of boogie going on in there. What's that? What's that all about? What's that jazz?
It's the pool hall.
The poo. These days it's a poo-ha. There's no L's in it. Poo-ha. Poo-ha.
Poo-ha.
Welcome to the poo-ha. Not welcome to the pool hall. Welcome to the poo-ha. It's true. That's one thing that's really happening in English. The letter L is disappearing.
Yeah.
More and more, I'm hearing people say things like listening to the radio and stuff. I'm hearing people say words like the word millionaire. They say millionaire. Billionaire. $1 billion, not $1 billion. And oh my God, just all kinds of words where they're just not pronouncing the letter L. So I'm telling Lillian she's in trouble because eventually she's just going to be. Okay, tell the folks where we are here now and what this is all.
Passing by Shamrock City.
Okay.
And the subway. So
it's not the subway. We don't have any kind of public transit here in St. John's, only buses.
Yeah.
So it's not the subway, it's Subway.
Subway, yes.
Yeah, there's a huge difference.
That's right.
It's like, what's that group? It's not the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, it's Air Canada Centre.
Okay.
And what's that group called? The Orange something? Oh, anyway. It is not of import.
No. So, yeah, we're past that bit of mayhem.
Yeah, the mayhem is behind us now.
It's always a tricky area, isn't it?
Now it's Juneham. Yes. So,
yeah. So we had a yummy supper.
We had, actually, yes. Tell the folks. Hang on. You give me the little package there. And I'll butt out of the conversation. You take this. And you can tell the folks what we just had for supper. And you can talk to Jacinthe. She can get on your side. And you guys can talk a little bit about... because now I have a free hand, you see? My hand was... both hands were occupied. Tell the folks a little bit about what we just had for supper.
Okay. All right. Well, Jacinthe was our guest for supper.
And that
was very
great.
nice. And we had really... Well, we've had a couple of barbecues, but this was our really first... I think it was our first official barbecue.
Yes, in the sense that there was somebody else there to witness it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like the tree falls in the forest, you know. If we could be barbecuing and there's no one there, did we really do it?
That's right. So this is what we had tonight was actually something that we did about a year ago, and we recorded the whole thing from start to finish.
The episode was called Planker Down.
Planker Down, and in which we planked Atlantic salmon on barbecue. So if you guys want to find out what the recipe is, because it was really delicious, you can go back. I'm not sure what episode it was, but
it was probably last May.
It was last May, and it was called Planker Down. Yeah.
If you have the Roar, the Republic of Avalon radio app, which we never quite officially announced, is actually available. It's for the iPhone and the iPad and the Ipod Touch. But we also have an app for the Android, and maybe a lot of people didn't know that. So any of you Android users, if you get the app, you can easily, for example, there's a little search thing on the top. You just touch it and type in the word salmon. Bang, you're on the episode.
Yeah, it's so cool. I did that today, actually, because I was in a rush. I wanted to find out what the recipe was, because I didn't actually have it written down. So I had to go back to our show and listen. Oh, yeah. To get the
Lillian, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. How's you guys doing tonight?
Oh, good. Excellent, thanks.
Play us a tune on the way by.
Oh, you got it.
For the listeners.
Hi, Jim.
Hey. I feel like the King of Kensington.
I pondered on those days gone by, as sadly sighing of hill, and gazed upon the setting sun. We gazed on it, watched for me by the very sight of sea. we were sweet 16. Oh, how I long for those bright days to come again once more. But come again, they never will, for now I'm 64. Woo! We went a little
Thank you.
further.
Merci. Okay. Okay.
He was, I think he was on our very first episode of Republic of Avalon Radio. Yeah.
Yep. Back in 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, 6 years now.
Yeah. This is season 7 now. Lucky 7. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now that's a funny thing too. The word in French, chance, means luck. Hey, who that know?
That is, I can't remember her name, but she goes to the pub quite often, but they're moved away. So.
Oh, geez, all the Goonies are out tonight. The Goonies are good enough for me. What was I just going to say? Something
I'm
about
not
something.
Sure.
Something about something. The word chance in French means luck, but in English, people use that word, but it has a kind of a derogatory sense. It means more to do with like gambling and chance.
Games of chance.
It means you're kind of like in French, chance just means good fortune.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just means you're being smiled upon by the gods or whatever. But in English, chance almost always has to do with some kind of risk.
Yeah.
Taking a risk, being reckless with your person or with your money or.
We call that the faux amis.
Yes.
That kind of word. It's the same word, but
false friends.
Has not the same meaning in French and English.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, chance. It means something random.
Yeah.
We can even say in English. Let's say I met somebody last night that I wasn't expecting to meet. I would say, we had a chance meeting last night.
Right.
I ran into somebody that I didn't expect to see. It was a chance meeting.
What are the chances of that?
Let's go, boss.
Hello, what
Hey,
are you doing here?
What's going on?
No, we're doing
Oh, really? Stick a fork in them.
Wow. He was playing at the pub tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So we have no live music.
No music.
No live music. Jesus, this sounds like up there. Hear that? This sounds like we're on a ride at the fair or something. Where's the Ferris wheel?
Yeah, indeed.
Good Lord. Yes.
Yes.
Talk about wet.
Okay, now we're passing by a loud place.
Yes, with young, excited drummers.
Yeah.
I used to be a very young, excited drummer at one point.
Yes, you were.
Generally speaking, young drummers do too much. That's the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
There are exceptions,
They're
but
very excitable. Maybe that's
very excitable folks. Us.
very high adrenaline, I guess. Like high adrenaline, and especially when you get going on those drums. Ooh.
Well, you learn something drumming. It's called stamina.
Yeah.
And
you have a lot more stamina than anybody else in the group.
It's a good way to learn stamina.
For sure. I think it's a wonderful thing to be a drummer.
Yep.
'Cause you get to learn, like you say, stamina and build up muscles and learn how to really be coordinated.
Yeah. Now here's another one. In French, in English, we have the word. We have the word another. Some more faux amis. We have the word repetition, which just means the same thing happening over and over. But in French, you have répétition, which means not the same thing happening over and over. It means you're actually trying to make it better each time, like musicians having répétition.
Rehearsal.
Yeah, they're not
but
just making.
There's two meaning. That can be the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
In English.
But in English, what people do is they practice. It's called practice, but pratiquer is I think maybe more directly related than répétition.
We've arrived. We have arrived, people.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for taking this little stroll with us, and thanks to Jacinthe for
Thank you for joining us.
blessing our émission. That's the last word I'll go out on. Bless, if you say bless in English, it means somehow some kind of good wishes coming from God, but in French it means someone just chopped off your arm.
Right.
So you say, blessé in French is not bonne chance.
Shall we? Okay.
Okay.
Good night,
Bon
everyone.
courage.
Bon courage.
A Root Cellar production.